Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Nintendo Therapy, the show with the latest news and rumors about Nintendo, as well as a celebration of all things Nintendo. Just Sean and I this week, but you know what? There's plenty to talk about, so it's kind
So,
of good that it's just us, yeah.
should I get it out of the way now? And, you were right.
Well, I mean, I didn't predict the exact month Advance Wars was going to come out. I was just like, I think it's coming out soon. But yeah, we'll get into all the Nintendo Direct stuff soon. That's probably most of what we're going to talk about this week. Other than that, though, what have you been playing? We usually start with
So,
that, and why not?
past weekend, I played through the Insane Trilogy, and I played Crash 4, which is one of the hardest games I have ever completed.
Like the level design was just difficult, or did you
So,
go
the
for the
whole game.
crazy?
Nope. The game is just that challenging.
Oh, so you didn't like 100% with the boxes?
Oh, no. No,
Yeah,
they did some. So, Crash 4, those are the only ones I've played. So, Crash 4 took some stuff from Odyssey, which I liked. So there's no game overs, so you can kind of just keep trying the level over and over again.
Yeah, I keep seeing video reviews bring up like the quote they keep using is like game overs are out of date. You know, like modern games don't need game overs anymore.
Yeah, so no, I mean it was really good. It was interesting because so you can play levels from other character perspectives. So when you play through it as Crash, something will happen in the level, and then you can unlock playing the level as a different character and see how that thing happened. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
That is cool. I finished Grandia, which
Oh,
just in
nice.
time for my vacation. We should let the listeners know now we're not going to have an episode next week. I'm on that vacation I've been not shutting up about. Um, but we're only going to miss that 1 week. It's not like we're going to shut down forever. But yeah, Grandia. It was a good game overall. I got a few things I wrote down to say about it. I thought it was cool. You don't need a guide at all, which sometimes, you know how
Oh, wow.
JRPGs like they can get really sometimes like obscure
Convoluted.
of what they want you to do.
Yeah.
But you don't need a guide at all. It's pretty much the gameplay cycle is pretty much you get to a new area. There's no random encounters. So what I did was I would make sure I did all of the fights in that area until there was nothing left to fight. And then you pretty much get like a boss or some kind of cutscene. And then that tells you where to go next. It shows the world. It's one of those games where the world map is just a list of town names on
Oh,
like a
okay.
map. So like now you select the new town that wasn't there before that you can now go to. And it's that kind of game. Just rinse and repeat for about 40 hours. But I liked it. I liked another thing it did was that you have a party of 4. Like I said, it's a turn-based RPG, and you have a party of 4, but you don't build a party like in like a Final Fantasy game where like you've got 4 people in your party and you've got like 3 people just like hanging out. You know,
Yeah.
it's always 4 people. Some people leave and then you get
Oh,
new people, but I kind of like that because it does kind of when I play like Final Fantasy 7, which is a great game. One thing I could say about it though is like a lot of times when everyone's just like hanging out on the ship, it kind of weakens the story and like how much everyone's supposed to be like on the same adventure. You know what I mean?
oh
So
yeah.
the fact that everyone who's on the adventure is always like with you, and like some of the people leave and then new people come in, it's really cool. I like that. Final Fantasy 9 did a great job of keeping track of
Yes.
that because it would always split the party, so everyone always had something to do, and you didn't like kind of all come together until like disc 4, I think. It did run a little long for something this basic. It definitely felt like a Super Nintendo era RPG with like souped up visuals because it was originally a Sega Saturn game and then it was released on PlayStation. It didn't feel like a game that came out after Final Fantasy VII. I'll say that. And it did by like almost a year.
Okay.
Um They have like a very unique magic system, but I never really got too involved with it. You can get through most of the game just attacking and using healing items. I love that at one point though, I did end up leveling up my magic because you can set it to auto battle. If you're a high enough level, it's kind of like in Chrono Trigger how it would skip the fights if you
Oh
were
yeah.
high level. Like just set it to auto battle if you're in an area where you're not afraid of dying, and it'll use the magic for you and level it all up. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about it. It's pretty good. Gonna take a break from RPGs for a while. Finally got the Mario 3D Land, and I did the vouchers like I told you this week.
Yeah, I was thinking about it now with Direct because they added some of the stuff they announced.
Yeah, I this could be wrong. I just saw this on Twitter right like 2 seconds before we got on this call, but I think somebody said that the Tears of the Kingdom is already
It
on the
is.
voucher program. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's really cool that they put new games on there. For those of you who don't know, the voucher program's available for people who have Switch Online, and basically you pay $100 and you get to pick 2 games off the list. And the reason this is nice is some of those games are $70, so you wouldn't be able to get 2 of them for $100. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, it's digital only. But yeah, I used my voucher. I got Mario 3D World, and I got Luigi's Mansion 3. So those will be what I
Yes.
play on
So
vacation. Wish I
I'm
could have gotten
looking at
Metroid.
maybe. Yeah, I don't think Metroid's on there, but uh, now that I saw Tears of the Kingdom it's like, you know what? If they add Octopath 2 on there by the time that comes out,
It
then
might be on there. Oh, not 2. No, sorry, the first one. Well, because the first one's on there though.
yeah,
The second
I
one might
have
be.
that. So,
But
so
yeah,
yeah,
I love the voucher program.
sold me on the voucher program. So,
Yeah, I think when I get Tears of the Kingdom, I'm going to get it through the voucher program just so I can. I mean, you basically you get another game. Like you could spend $70 on Tears of the Kingdom, or you could spend 30 more bucks on a voucher and get another $70 game. You know.
right.
But yeah, let's talk about that Direct. That's going to be the big news for this week. We might as well stop burying the lead here. Did you watch the full thing?
I did, and like you, I think it's the first one I've seen as it happened.
Yeah, I usually watched the clips the next day, but I figured, we're recording the podcast. To be completely honest, I might not have watched it if we weren't recording tonight. I might have done that, just watch all the highlights the next day thing, and then we talk about it on the podcast. But hey, it was fun. I liked it. It felt like it kind of built momentum over time. Like it got.
Yeah, so when it opened with Pikmin, I was like, yep, all right, they're going to announce the date for Advance Wars, and he's going to be right. It's going to be coming out before Pikmin. I was like, yeah.
Well, one of the rumors we were going to talk about this week that this now squashes is all over the internet this week. People were saying that it leaked that Pikmin was coming out. I think it was May 21st, whatever a week after Tears of the Kingdom is. And everyone, I said the same thing half the internet was saying. There's no way they're releasing this game right after Tears of the Kingdom. It doesn't make any sense. It's like their next. I mean, it's not as big as Zelda, but it's the next Nintendo release. Why put them out both at the same time?
It's
And
not a Hellboy movie. They're not that crazy.
yeah, and it looks like it's coming out end of June, almost July. So it's got a good, healthy distance from Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, it looked interesting from what they showed, but I'm not good at those games.
Yeah, I think I talked about this on here before. As I played the first 2, I haven't played the third one yet. And I think I even said if the release date is August, I'll play the third one by then. And now it's June 21st. So it's like, maybe that's enough time. But I really feel like Zelda is going to keep me occupied because, I mean, I'm still playing Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah.
if it's anything like that, I'll be playing Tears of the Kingdom for the next 6 years.
I mean, since we're talking about it, I know they had it at the end of the Direct, but yeah, I mean, the amiibo thing I expected.
Yeah, I'm getting that amiibo. I don't care what I have to do. I know I saw online that Best Buy apparently maybe for pre-orders, I don't know, but their site crashed right after the announcement.
But the only thing I will say that was kind of disappointing from that trailer, I still don't really have any idea what's going on.
You have more of an idea now, though. I feel like I feel like that showed a little bit more clearly, like how many islands are in the sky, which we didn't see before. And I'm willing to bet each of those islands it has like some sort of temple on it, or
Dungeon or
they're not going to have divine beasts anymore. But yeah, and if each one doesn't, then like it'll be like the big ones do, and maybe there'll be little islands like in Skyward Sword. There were like little islands in the sky that kind of just had treasure chests, and then there were big islands that had like the restaurant or that gambling area. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean it like I said, it basically sold me on the voucher thing, so yeah, I'm intrigued. I
Back
looking
to the
like
Pikmin. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
all your abilities are from like a mechanical arm, it looks like.
Yeah, that looks so cool, doesn't it? You got your little gauntlet, your little infinity gauntlet for The Legend of Zelda now. That thing's going to be a toy in no time. That glove is going to be in stores, I guarantee it. There's going to be cosplayers throwing that all over the place. Hello?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting for the rest of your Pikmin thing.
Oh, so okay, yeah, no, I'm looking at my notes here, and I'm like, why did the red Pikmin get a special intro? Did you notice that?
I
Like
just think it's because that's the first Pikmin you ever encountered.
But yeah, it says red Pikmin, and then it's like clearly the yellow and the blue and all the others are in there, and they didn't get a special title. The ice Pikmin got a title, but like, what about yellow and blue? Come on, man, give us a title. And it's got that dog that looked really cool.
Yeah, I liked that idea that you could get them all on him to go across hazards.
Yep. I don't know. Again, I missed the third one, so I don't know if these are things that were introduced in between, if there was similar stuff, but this definitely looks like Nintendo, man. You're making games faster than I can play them because I think I'm going to want 3 and 4 now. I think I'm going to get back on the Pikmin train at some point. We had Samba de Amigo in there.
I laughed so hard when that came up because all I can remember is whenever we'd be like, oh yeah, somebody amigo.
French zip fries. Oh wait, that's Parappa the Rappa.
That's
I don't
Parappa
even think we ever had Samba de Amigo.
No, we just saw an ad for it and then we would just randomly say it. So I'm like, someone's happy that came back.
There was, you know what, one that I really thought about a lot while it was happening is Fashion Dreamer.
Yeah. That.
It's basically Paper Dolls the game.
Yep.
And I was like, look, I'm surprised that it took this long for this to be a thing. Because we're not the market for it, but there definitely is a market for that game.
Oh yeah, that I think that game will do quite well actually.
Yeah. There was Dead Cells Return to Castlevania coming out in March.
That was one of the highlights for me because Dead Cells is one of the games I enjoy, and
I'm not familiar with Dead Cells. What is it? Just like tributes? I'm guessing because of the Castlevania thing. Does it tribute other games too?
So it's like a roguelite Metroidvania.
Oh, okay.
So it's in the vein of Hollow Knight, but it's more randomized. But what's cool is they've been supporting the game for 5 years. And they've done decent DLC for it. So I was like, you're going to throw Castlevania in it? Yeah, I'll add that onto Dead Cells. So that was one of the highlights for me.
I don't think anyone was excited for Tron Identity. I feel like Tron is a franchise.
Was a game.
I feel like Tron is a franchise they want so desperately for there to be a bigger fan base of. And it's just like everyone's like, yeah, we know Tron. We know it exists. We're not interested.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about the Splatoon 3 expansion pass is how they mentioned it being in 2 waves.
Yeah.
And I was like, Nintendo loves to do 2 waves with their games because Breath of the Wild had the 2 wave DLC. Luigi's Mansion had a 2 wave DLC. What else was
Hyrule
there?
Warriors, that was two
Yeah,
wave.
exactly.
The
Yeah.
only time they seem to do more than that is if it's kind of an RPG.
Well, yeah, because the other announcement in there was Xenoblade is getting like a third, and I think they even said a fourth.
Yeah, so the first three have been characters, not that I've even gotten close to starting that, and then the last one will be a story thing. And then Fire Emblem's already getting DLC, so I thought that was cool for all the Fire Emblem fans.
And then the next bit of the kind of like the beginning show before we get to the main event, I thought Illusion Island looked cool. It looked like an indie Disney game. And what I thought when I was
Oh
watching
yeah,
that, the Mickey Mouse thing, yeah.
yeah.
And like what I was thinking when I was watching that, I was like, if I had kids, I would be all over that game. Like that looks like the perfect like family co-op to play if you've got like a little kid to play with. But I do not have kids.
Yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't interest me, and it
well,
like
no,
that.
I think it's targeted towards like kids playing and like maybe like parents playing with their kids.
Yeah, that and the Star Wars game have been floating around at the coming soon bottom part of the eShop forever. So I was hoping after they showed that they were going to get into that Star Wars free to play game in more depth because I'm curious what it is, but they didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, Mickey Mouse, cool.
The game that I saw that I was like that for, what you just said, like oh, I want to know more about what that is the Sea of Stars 16-bit looking RPG they showed
Oh yeah,
on
that looked
this.
interesting.
It said free demo on shop now. I think I'm going to get that demo.
It
And
was a demo day, but
oh
I
yeah.
figured Octopath was getting their demo soon because they did that with the first one. And what I like what Square does with those demos is you can carry that over when you get the game.
And then at that point the direct decided to it kicked it up a notch. At this point it was like, okay, then that was where Advance Wars 1 and 2 showed up. April 21st it's coming out.
There might have been some cursing. I'm
So
very
that,
happy you all get to play it, but
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, you're happy. I'm sad for I saw so many people online this week saying basically the minute they announced the direct that they are hoping that they announce the Zelda Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD collection coming. And I'm just so sad that those people still think that game is coming. Like I mean, it might come eventually, but I'll tell you what's not going to happen. They will never release that as a collection like they always have it photoshopped online where you get both games for $50 or $60.
I think they might do like what they did with Prime, which was a cool announcement. I don't know if that
Yes.
was next.
I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I think next year they'll do hey, Wind Waker HD's coming, and then the year after that they'll do Twilight Princess is coming, or even vice versa, because even if they announce like our prediction timetable is for a new Nintendo system to come out in 2025. Even if that's the timeline, I think they're still going to support the Switch with Zelda releases. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those games do come out eventually, but they're not going to come out as a collection.
So I like one that they just surprised announced Metroid and then dropped it, day
Immediately.
of.
Yeah.
And like there was no let's have people review it and blah. It's like, nope, here it is. But price wise, it's like 40. I'm like, all right, 40 remastered GameCube game. That's perfectly reasonable to me. And I'm guessing that they'll do the same with Metroid Prime 2 and 3. leading up to
And
4.
you're right. You're so right. That's a perfect comparable thing. Is like if they're releasing those separately, there's no way they're putting the Zeldas out together.
So I could see them doing, hey, Twilight Princess Remaster H, because they'll add like more words to the titles to both of those when they
Yeah.
release them. But they'll be like, it's dropping, the end of the month or whatever. But no, that was really cool. And I had some friends who were like, they're already playing Metroid Prime right now.
Wow.
Like that wasn't even like a thought. So
I think what I'm going to do is, because I've always been like so interested in the Metroid series and I never got too deep into it. We haven't said it on this podcast, but on our other one, Ninja Turtle Nerds, I talked about how I beat the original NES Metroid. And that's to this day, the only one I've finished. I've played Super Metroid and Metroid 2.
And which you can play again.
Oh, no. I actually finished the first Prime. I finished the first Prime.
Okay.
Because I have that on my GameCube. But I'm very like hit or miss on Metroid. And this has me, because we always say I buy into hype. Yep. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play them all in order. I'm going to skip that first NES one because I already did it. And I'm pretty sure I've heard that Fusion is like a remake of that. Or maybe it's a remake of 2.
Yes. And that was one of the GBA games they showed that would be coming down the pike. So
yeah, exactly. And that brings us to our next point. The biggest, I think, announcement of this Direct, and just like with Metroid, they just dropped it right away, was that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are now available on Switch Online. The Game Boy Advance, you need the higher tier for, but they're there. If you have Nintendo 64 and Sega, you've got Game Boy Advance.
So yeah, I was actually pretty excited about that, and you were telling me earlier, now I can play Super Mario Land 2. I don't have any reason not to play it. So.
Let's read the games that we're going to add to our list for the randomizer now. Is Game Boy is getting Tetris, Gargoyle's Quest, Game & Watch Gallery 3, which I've never played, but now that it's on there, I'm definitely going to play it.
Yeah, it looked interesting.
Even Alone in the Dark New Nightmare looked kind of interesting, which is another one. I remember seeing that in Nintendo Power, and I never played it.
I played the PlayStation 1 version of that game.
Oh, okay.
So,
Metroid 2 is on there, Wario Land 3, and Kirby's Dream Land. And it
which
had
is kind of funny because we brought that up last week, the week before. So
yeah. And it had like a little graphic where it said like games that are going to be coming soon, and one of them you could see were the 2 Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons games. I forget what.
Oh, the Link's Awakening was the other game.
Did I not say that?
I don't think you did, but if you want to play because the Switch one's great.
No, I didn't. Why isn't that on here? Oh, and Mario Land 2. Yeah. Oh, because I wrote this text in. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
But yeah, you can try the Game Boy version now too. So I thought that was cool.
And I always thought it was weird. The Mario Land games have such a weird order because it's like Wario becomes a bridge because there's Mario Land, then there's Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Title's going good so far. Then it kind of goes a little off the rails. It's Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. Well, at least you've still got Super Mario Land in the title there. Then the next game is Wario Land 2. So it's almost like there was never a Wario Land 1. Wario Land 1 was Mario Land 3.
That's weird.
And then Wario Land 3 is the next game in the line. So interesting titling. And then the Game Boy Advance. Yep, we've got Minish Cap, Mario Advanced 4, WarioWare Incorporated, the game I can't pronounce, the Curie one, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Super Circuit, and a game I'm really excited for is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, because that's another one that is. Yeah. I mean, I have it on. Law enforcement, stop listening for a second. I got a Retro Pi that's got a lot of ROMs on it, and yeah, I have all the Mario and Luigi games on there, and I've always meant to get around to them. But now that they're on my Switch, I'm way more likely to play them.
So I think the Mario Advance series is when convoluted names started.
Yeah, I have a list of
Because
them. Do you want to hear it? Because it's funny, we both thought this.
go ahead, because I don't even think the order they released them makes sense.
It doesn't. So the order of those games is Super Mario Advanced is a remake of Super Mario Brothers 2, the NES game. That's where they started.
Okay.
They started on the one that wasn't even technically a Mario game to begin with. Then the next one, Super Mario Advance 2, is a remake of Super Mario World.
Yeah.
So they skipped the first game, then they skipped Super Mario Brothers 3 and went to the Super Nintendo. Then Super Mario Advance 3 is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
Yep.
So at least you did 2 in a row there. Then, of course, we see here on the GBA, because this is the one we have on the service, Super Mario Advance 4 is Super Mario Brothers 3. So now we're going back to the NES. And I could have sworn one of them was a remake of the original Mario Brothers, but I guess not. Did they do an Advance 5?
No. So I think for GBA, they had like an NES Classics collection.
Oh, you're right. Because I had the 2 Zeldas, and that's how I beat Adventure of Link for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was playing that on my GameCube Game Boy Advance player, the thing that you put on the bottom of your GameCube.
Yeah.
Because people probably have forgotten about a time before your systems went online, and like this is pre-Nintendo Wii. You know, like there's no online service to download Adventure of Link. And the original Nintendo wasn't exactly reliable, so I wasn't going to play a long game like that on that hardware. And in the coming soon games, they showed Metroid Fusion and Golden Sun, which is another game.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's another game that's been on my list forever. I owned that on Game Boy Advance, and something happened to the cart, and I was never able to finish it. And then it became one of those rare games that like you had to spend like $60 to get a used game, like one of those. So like I never went back and played it, but now it's finally coming, and I will finally get to finish that game too. And again, Nintendo, give me a break here, because there's like at least 6 games from this direct that I'm gonna have to play. And that's did you have any more about that?
No, I thought it was a pretty decent starter lineup, and it gives them even more to add. So I don't know. I think the online is a decent value, really. I mean, imagine
hopefully they
buy
do
those
add
games. Like,
hopefully they live up to what they said with the coming soon stuff, and it doesn't take them a year to add 2 games. Or like I feel like they've been taking their sweet time lately, but maybe it was because they knew these were coming. And then the next thing in the direct was that Metroid Prime remaster is coming, and they announced that the other 2 were also coming, because they said the trilogy is coming, but this one's available now. New Professor Layton game, that looks pretty cool. Did you ever play those games?
I think I tried one of them, but I just didn't have time to play it, but I liked it. So that's something I'm intrigued about. That's a really good series. That I like that this whole direct was a lot of, hey, remember this series? It's back.
Yeah, and it was mostly like you just said, like, hey, we're the brand you want to stick with. Like, we got all of this stuff. Like, even the Mario Kart thing was playing on it's the Yoshi's Island theme.
Oh yeah, that's so it's like, track, hey, and
remember Yoshi's Island?
They found one character they forgot to put on the roster, and
Birdo.
It was funny when that announcement came up and went, oh yeah, I'm getting more Mario Kart tracks this year. I completely forgot about that.
Well, it's funny because before they did this direct, one of the news stories I had for this week, let me see if I can find it. Mario Kart Tour has been available on mobile devices for more than a few years now, But that doesn't mean that Nintendo has moved on from supporting the game just yet. In fact, Mario Kart Tour is still getting additional content. For example, it's been announced that there will be an exploration tour that is beginning less than a week from now. The tour will include a brand new course that hasn't been seen in a Mario Kart game before, Piranha Plant Cove. The official announcement tweet about the matter can be seen below. And basically, this article goes on to speculate, like, hey, if they're adding courses to this, maybe some more stuff's coming to Mario Kart soon. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah, because I know, again, they split that into Wave 1 was last year, Wave 2 is this year. So I think it's going to be 24 more tracks this year.
It's a lot of tracking.
Yeah, so I think when it's all said and done, it's 100 plus tracks will be in Mario Kart 8.
Whoo! That's a game. Like they really supported that one. Imagine if they supported every game the amount they supported that game.
If Smash Brothers would have,
1,000 characters.
Yeah, you can be the Shy Guy. You can be Bullet Bill.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything that happened in the Nintendo Direct. I'm so excited for the Game Boy stuff. Like, I'm just happy it finally happened, because that rumor is so old that, like, back before this Direct, there'd been rumor for, like, I feel like over a year that somebody discovered that Nintendo was testing Game Boy ROMs and Game Boy Advance ROMs through the service.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I thought it was cool that a lot of the GameCube RPGs they announced that are getting remasters. Not that I'll ever have time to play them, but definitely a lot of GameCube love this Direct.
Yeah, there was a split second that I was thinking about getting that I didn't even write the name of it down, but that first person one where they were like, you can buy the collection or buy each one individually.
Oh, yeah, where you kind of build the map.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what, dude, you can't get into a new franchise right now. Finish that was where I drew the line, was with that one. I was like, stop saying you're gonna buy everything. You can play like an hour of video games a day with your schedule, Kevin. You can't play everything.
Well, that's why. So Metroid Prime's just gonna sit on my wish list for a while, because I have so much stuff I'm trying to play right now. But I did get one game from the Direct, and it was something I totally forgot I was big into on the Wii. So that Power Pro Baseball they showed.
Oh yeah, yep.
So that's 99 cents.
Oh, sweet. They should have put that in the trailer.
I was like, oh, let me see, because they updated the eShop, and I was like, yeah, I get gold coins, yeah. But
why didn't they say that? It should have said that in the trailer. Only 99 cents.
I don't know. But on Wii, I had MLB Power Pros 2008, and I played the heck out of that game.
Which is funny, because you and I are not sports guys, but
no,
every now and then something clicks.
That series is really fun, so I highly recommend that. But yeah, that was like my one, like, oh, you know what, $1, sure. I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure, again, the internet's aflame with the $70 for Zelda, and it's like, look, that's what games are gonna cost now.
Yeah, and it's not like it's that big a price increase. It was like, what, it went from 60 to 70. It's not like it's 120 or something. Like,
my argument for it is I know so many people who bought the Dead Space remake like day one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a 15-year-old game that I've heard they've done a great job with it, etc., but I'm like, you had no problem throwing that down for that game, which you've played.
And like we said at the top of this, buy the voucher, and now it's a $50 game, and you get 2 games.
So, no, I thought it was a really good Direct. Had a lot of stuff I wasn't expecting, and I like the little recap for everything that was coming out the next like month and a half.
Yep.
Not that, Octopath, I'll probably try the demo, but I still have to beat Octopath 1.
So yeah, you know what I'm surprised they didn't talk about was this news story that I read for this week where I guess they don't have anything to say about it yet, but Detective Pikachu, which the movie that came out in 2019.
Yeah.
So that made 433 million on a budget of only 150 million, which seems low for a film with so much CGI. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. Like
It was
that,
pretty decent visuals too.
yeah, and it was only 150 million, which back when we were in high school would have been a crazy expensive movie, but these days that's like a Marvel movie is 300 million. So I think it had just as good CGI as a Marvel movie. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is I'm surprised they didn't mention that there's a sequel to that in the works, but I guess they have nothing to say about it just now. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, the news story. Let me read this news story here. It says there's been news on a lot of video game movie adaptation news lately. However, one film that you might have forgotten about is a sequel to the 2019 Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie. In fact, the sequel had been announced before the first film even released in theaters. Well, 4 years have passed since the sequel was confirmed, and Detective Pikachu 2 is still nowhere to be seen. Nevertheless, Legendary Entertainment has not forgotten about the project. A representative for Legendary Entertainment spoke to Polygon with some good news and bad news. The good news is that the film is still in active development. The bad news is that unfortunately the representative was unable to confirm who is working on it. It's worth noting that recently Detective Pikachu writers confirmed that while they'd love to contribute to the project, they are currently not involved in the film's production. It's an ongoing. So yeah, it looks like from this news story they actually have nothing to say about it. Never mind. I saw this here and I thought there was news, but apparently there is not. So it doesn't sound like that's ever coming out actually.
No, when Mario does well and
Yeah.
Sonic 3 will probably be out before that, then they'll be like, yeah, let's do that other Pikachu thing.
So there was one news item here before we get into our spotlight on the Switch Online game that I wanted to go through is Nintendo this week released up-to-date data for the top-selling Switch games of all time as of December 30th. So do you have any guesses about the top-selling Switch games of all time?
I'm just throwing it out there. It's totally a curveball. Mario Kart 8.
Yes, that is the top game with 52 million units sold. Any other guesses for this list?
Smash Brothers, I'm guessing.
That's the third biggest game with 30.4 million. Right above that is Animal Crossing New Horizons. It outsold Smash Brothers, believe it or not.
Wow.
Thanks to COVID. Because remember, didn't they I think they released that game early because of COVID. Like the lockdown happened and everyone was like, "Hey, I know it's coming out next week, but can you give us Animal Crossing? We need something." And they did it. If I remember correctly.
I think you're right.
The next game on the list is Breath of the Wild, 29 million, which seemed low to me. I thought that would beat Smash Brothers.
For some reason I always thought that's like the second highest selling game, but I guess
I'm sure in the beginning it was, but it just didn't keep up. Pokemon Sword and Shield is next, 25 million. Super Mario Odyssey, 25 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, 20 million, which that game's that's huge.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that game's like a month old.
Yeah, what, month, 2 months old?
Super Mario Party's next on the list, 18 million, which I love Mario Party. Should always be on the list.
I lost at Mario Party this week. I got my butt handed to me pretty badly.
Well, here's the thing with Mario Party that people who complain about it don't understand. There was like, oh, it's like it doesn't require any skill because you could win all the mini games, and then someone at the end gets all the bonus stars and they win. It's like, yeah, that's the point. what Nintendo is giving you with Mario Party is it's not about winning. It's about the experience of
Yeah.
playing the game. And like, if you're not just I need to win everything and you're ready to have fun, that's hilarious when that happens. If somebody who was in last place is suddenly in first place now because of crazy luck. Like I don't know. Every time that happens when I'm playing with people, I laugh. I'm not like, it's not like we put money on the game, you know?
No, I got a respectable second, but I was completely prepared to totally lose. So
And then the next two games on the list are Ring Fit Adventure and Pokemon Let's Go. So of the top 10 Switch games, 1, 2, 3 are Pokemon games. It's a decent percentage. It's a good franchise. They're doing what they got to do.
Yeah, I thought Ring Fit sold decent, so that makes sense. It's in the top 10.
And now on to the spotlight. This week we played Kung Fu Heroes, an NES game, which, just like last week, I played the wrong game first. There's another NES. There's so many ninja games. Like there's so many caveman games on that service, and now there's so many ninja games. There's Shadow of the Ninja. There's Ninja Gaiden. There's Ninja Jaja Marukan, which is what I played.
Oh, okay.
And Kung Fu Heroes is on there as well. So what I thought was funny is they're basically the same game. It's just that the one I played, they're both arcade style. But the one I played is just shot from a different perspective. It looks more like the Mario Brothers arcade game, where it's like a side view.
Down. Okay.
Yeah, like a side view, and the one we played is a top down. So, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I could not get past level 2.
No, I couldn't either.
I am not good at it. And I played it for like a half hour before I realized you could jump.
I thought the hit, like your punch is really like, it's hard to tell if you're going to get punched when you're trying to punch. Like it's like it almost is the same length as your body. You have to like get right up against an enemy to hit them, which is interesting.
There was that, and I had a really hard time gauging when I should jump. Because I know, like, again, I only get to the second level, but there were those like weird bowl-looking enemies that the only way you could beat them is jump on them.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of enemy variety now that I think about it.
Well, I mean, maybe once you get past level 2, it opens up. But I mean, I had fun with it.
Yeah, it's like those type of arcade games they're a good distraction. Like it's not something you'd sit down and play for 8 hours, but it's nice when you're like, you know what, I want to play something for 20 minutes before I go to bed.
It was no Cowabunga collection or anything like that, but I don't know, I had fun with it. I'm not good at it.
So where would you put it in your rankings?
So I'd put it below Kirby, but above Congo.
All right, I got to start keeping track of these. So how would you rank the 3 games we've played so far?
So it's a Kirby.
Yep.
Kung Fu.
Okay.
Congo.
And those are the only 3 we've played, right?
Yeah. Those are the only 3 games we have ever played.
So my list is already different than yours. So I'm going to save this in here so that I make sure every time we do this, it gets updated properly. Okay. So my list is I'd put Kirby at the top. Then Congo's Caper I liked more than this. That's why I don't have a lot to say about this Kung Fu Heroes game.
I could be wrong, but I think I like arcade games more than you.
It's possible. I did like it. It's just
no, I there's not much to it, so I get it.
So yeah, I'm typing away here. Making like a I'm making like a master list so that we don't forget what we're ranked, because we're gonna rank every single Switch Online game, and I'm sure at a certain point you're not gonna remember what you said, and I know I'm not either.
Oh yeah.
And
By the
so
time they're like now announcing TurboGrafx 16 and Game Gear,
yeah,
they'll just kind of have so much stuff on there.
well maybe you just like the NES more than the Super Nintendo because your top two slots are NES right now.
Well, that is not true.
So yeah, let's throw on the randomizer here, find out what we're going to be talking about next week. I have added the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. So
Well,
let's see
good.
if it throws us one of those. Spinning around, all kinds of crazy colors, loading the result. And we are playing Ice Climbers on the NES. That's another NES
Ooh.
game there. I swear all the games are in there. So it's just a coincidence. I think
I think
NES might have the
NES.
most games.
Yeah, I think it has the most games, so that makes sense. But
Well, we'll bang them out.
all right, well,
'Cause-
this week I'm kind of dreading because I've beaten Ice Climbers once, and my God, was it frustrating.
all right, so we'll have to tune in next week to find out where that falls on your list, and keep listening forever so you know when we finally get to these Game Boy games, when the randomizer is going to pick that. I'm not looking forward to Kuru Kuru Kurin because I'm bad at those games that require you to like avoid hitting things. And I think that's what that game
Yeah,
is.
I'm not sure how I fare with those,
I
but
played
it's
Mario
funny
Kart
to
Super
me.
Circuit today,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, and that's a game I owned. I got. I don't think our listeners are going to care about this story, but I'll tell it anyway. So I had that when we were in high school. Believe it or not, that's how old we are. That's how old
ugh.
that game is. I don't know. And I had it on my Game Boy Advance before the SP though. This was the first Game Boy Advance, and I can't even think of his name. The other Kevin that was in our TV studio class. Kevin, doesn't matter. I let him borrow it, and his dog ate it. Like when you say like dog ate your homework, his dog ate the cartridge, and he was so nice that he bought a new copy. And like I didn't know any of this. What happened was I let him borrow it, and then he gave me back a sealed copy in the box. It was like, here, my dog ate the game, so I bought you a replacement. And I was like, that was nice. He didn't have to do that. Um, so yeah, that's my. I think about that literally every time I play Mario. Can't think of this guy's name, but I think of it every time I play Super Circuit.
Well, kudos to him for being a good guy because that's a good story actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's funny. Ice Climbers is like iconic, and it's literally one game.
yeah, that is funny. It's because of Smash Brothers, which that should come to the Nintendo 64 online service. Come on, man.
I am also waiting for that because I want to play the original again.
Well, they've announced like 4 more games that are still coming, and it's not in that list, so it's not going to be anytime soon.
Well, I mean, I get it because the new Smash Brothers has everything ever in it.
Yeah,
But it's always struck me as funny that like Ice Climbers has one game and they've been at Smash Brothers, but it's like that's it.
yeah. I feel like this is sort of related to what you said. Is I feel like Smash Brothers is better when it's focused on the Nintendo characters. And I honestly wouldn't mind if they ever do make another Smash Brothers, because some people are saying Ultimate's supposed to be the last one. We'll see when the new Nintendo system comes out in 2025. But uh yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them go back to doing only Nintendo characters for the next one. How do you feel about that?
I'm in a completely different space. I'm curious what a new Ice Climber game would be like.
Ice Climb. I would love for them to do another system where all the games have like a naming convention, like the Nintendo 64. You know what I mean? Like everything
Oh,
had
okay.
64 in it, so it would be Ice Climber, like Ice Climber Ultimate. If the next system's like Ultimate Nintendo, and put Ultimate on everything. You can't call it Ultimate Nintendo though, because that implies that it's the last one.
And then parents are going to get upset because they already bought a Nintendo.
That's going to be the craziest part because, like, here's what's going to happen. Whenever they do announce their next system, it's going to have a name that sounds dumb at first, but grows on you over time, just like every other name. Like when they would announce the name of the new Star Wars movies, you'd first hear it and be like, that's dumb. But now, like, they're all embedded in our brains. And, like, same thing with the systems. Like, you know, the only one that doesn't have that problem is PlayStation because they just keep adding another number on there. But you remember when they said it was going to be called the Nintendo Wii? I was like, why? But it was one of their best-selling systems. So, that's another thing that was in the news today before we go. So the with those sales numbers, they also had the system numbers, and the Nintendo Switch is now the third best-selling system of all time. So
which means
they climbed a spot.
that the Switch Pro is totally around the corner because clearly they're not making any money on this system.
Yeah, the only problem is now to take the second place spot, they would basically also have to take the first place spot because, as we discussed, the Nintendo DS and the PlayStation 2 both have about 155 million units sold. There's not more than, I think it's like a 3 million unit window. So if they take the second spot, you do?
I think they'll get the second spot. I think the PS2 is going to remain number one because...
Well, it's worth noting that they sold 20 million units last year, and as we talked about last week, they're increasing production on the Switch because they think they can beat that number. So if they could do another 30 million units this year, that takes the top spot.
I was thinking about it before we, call this one. I feel like the Switch really goes to show that as a company, they have a broader appeal than the other two in terms of like it's kids to old people basically that play Switch.
Yeah.
Where it's, kids to gamers, I guess, that play the other two.
Yeah, it's definitely a different target market, and there's definitely people who look down on Nintendo as like, that's a kid system, and it's like, no, it's a fun system, guys. like
somebody, in their 40s or older even, now, is like, oh, Tetris is on here now? That's amazing. Like that.
I'm going to play that's Nintendo therapy. I am going to play so much Tetris on the Game Boy service now. Like, whoo boy. You don't need to put that in the randomizer because I could tell you everything about that, right? That's my top spot for whenever that comes out. That's probably going to be in my top spot, depending on what we've played up to that point. I'm sure there's some other stuff in there, but I don't know. I'm rambling now, so we should probably get to the end of this. Yeah, that was the Nintendo Direct. That's everything we have to say about it. Sorry, we don't go as in-depth as some podcasts out there. I'm sure you can find some that did like 2 hours on the Nintendo Direct alone.
Analyzed every single visual difference in Prime.
You know something, though? I was really glad that it came out tonight because I was sure that, I was like, watch this come out while I'm on vacation and we can't do an episode that week, because I know as soon as I see everything in the Direct, I'm going to want to talk to Sean about it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I'm glad it happened now. And then now I'll go on vacation and play Tetris. No, I'm going to be playing lots of
Mario. Come back. Yeah. How was Mario 3D World? I don't know. I just played Tetris.
I haven't even started Luigi's Mansion yet. I'm like saving it, but I've got I got such a list of games. I got to add Metroid Prime remake onto that list now. Such a list of games. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play the Metroid games and I'm going to play them in order. Like I said, skipping the NES one because I already beat that. We already talked about this. And I'll play the Prime remake when I get to the Prime games. That's what I'm going to do. That way I won't have to buy it right away. And hopefully eventually it ends up in that voucher program because I'll buy it with Tears of the Kingdom if I can. So yeah, anyway, thank everyone for listening. We're going to have a lot of guests coming up soon. I avoided booking anyone for this week because I've been doing a lot of vacation planning and stuff like that. I got a lot to get in order. So yeah, we didn't book anyone this week and we're not having a show next week. But after that, I think we're going to start having lots of guests on the show because a lot of people have expressed interest and I just got to get dates lined up for them and we'll do that. So thank you for listening. I've said that 100 times now. You can find us on Twitter at Nintendo Therapy. You can email us nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. And we started a subreddit. We started a Reddit. So look up Nintendo Therapy on Reddit. We did get one person. I don't know if they're a podcast listener because I started a thread on there and nobody replied to it. So was it you?
There's you and me.
Okay.
And some other person.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't really get how this works. If you know, let me know because sometimes it'll say there's it'll say like 3 people in this group, 5 currently online. And I'm like, how does that work? That's not possible.
We got ghosts in the subreddit?
Yeah, let me look. I'm going to open it up right now and see if it's still doing that because I was like, that can't be right. Nintendo Therapy, here it is. Yeah, 3 members. I guess no one's online right now. Does it not say that anymore? Okay, I'm not going to waste your time. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, I guess, on the 24th. Going to be skipping the 17th. See you then.